Is the judiciary supporting or promoting impunity?
Is the judiciary an agent of justice?
Or impunity? Our guest is here. He's seated. He
is on the roll. How are you guys?
Very well. How are you, Governor?
Salama, long time.
Very long time.
Very nice to be here.
Are you keeping well?
Very well.
Uko salama?
Uko salama, tunajaribu.
Wapi ndugu yetu?
Mzee has taken a couple of days.
Oh.
He's decided, you know what, I need some time to recharge my batteries. And we told him, yes.
Hey, lucky you.
Yeah, we told him, yeah.
You guys can get a break.
Yeah. you go take a break. You haven't taken a break?
How? It is difficult.
Yeah.
You cannot. These are 24/7, 365 kind of job.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And especially Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it shortly.
Asante.
Let me welcome you with the proverb courtesy of CT. The proverbs for this week are from Senegal. Have you been to Senegal, Governor?
I've not, incidentally.
You should.
But yeah, I should. The mayor of Dakar is a good friend. It's called Bartholomew Diaz. And he always tells me, man, Kuja, come.
It's called Batimayo.
He's actually coming to Nairobi on the 1st of October. I have 14 mayors from across the continent on an African mayoral program. So what are the Senegalese saying?
7 days. I'll give you all the 7 proverbs for the week. So,
what do you mean?
But let's start with today's proverb. Today's proverb says, let me open it. It is better to travel alone than with a bad companion.
That is very true. I don't know why you chose that proverb.
Context.
Pure coincidence.
It speaks to a lot of things.
It is better to travel alone than with a bad companion.
Yeah, that is true.
What do you think? Yes,
sometimes we look for comfort with people, yet they pull you down. And because you're afraid of being lonely or being alone, you hang on to it, yet it's not helping you make progress in life. In many contexts,
they're not adding value.
They're not actually. They're pulling you back.
They're actually extracting.
Yeah. So you'd rather tembea peke yako. Yeah.
In all aspects of life.
In all aspects of
Think
life.
about it. Whether you're on a journey, whether you're
whether it's friends,
whether
whether
you're
it's
in
at
a
work,
relationship, think about
in
it.
all of them.
Government,
Whatever it is. You're the governor of Nairobi.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, impeach. Okay, Governor. There have been issues in Nairobi recently.
Yes.
And, it was last week, but one. Was it last week, but one? Yes, when we were looking at traffic in the morning.
Yeah.
And we saw that Haile Selassie Avenue had been closed around Wakulima market. And we saw it's because traders there were not happy, were not a happy lot. What's the story here with Wakulima market?
Thank you. Wakulima market is one of the markets you have in the city, possibly one of the more important ones because of the nature of trade. It's a wholesale market, and a lot of what you get from other markets come from there. That's the point. It all comes in from across the country, and it has exceeded its capacity. And so you now have a situation, or you had a situation because we sorted it out, where you have a lot of trucks on the road. You have women selling on the road. And you remember what happened last year? We lost 52 women in Lydiah, Kericho. Yeah. In a similar, kind of setup right on the road. And so we engaged these traders. We spoke to them. My departments did, and I also spoke to them. They're people we know. The people we know for many years, and told them, look, let's decongest this place because it causes a lot of traffic. People have to walk on the road, and it's not what it's supposed to be. The capacity of the market was 1,200 traders and 92 parking slots for wholesalers because they sell off their trucks. Today you'll find 300 trucks. You'll find traders have gone up almost 5,000, and so that is why we've been expanding markets. It is not the fault of those traders or those women on the road. It is actually the lack of markets by government. And that's why we said, even when we got in, that we shall build markets. We shall complete stalled markets. And we've completed them. And so once you've built this market with taxpayers' money, Kangundo Road Market is a huge market with capacity. It has space for more than 400 trucks. Wholesale, it has a weighbridge where, it's easier to assess, the trucks that are coming in. It is very accessible.
Where is it exactly?
It's right on Kangundo Road, as you're going towards Kayole. Right on Kangundo Road, just before Mama Lucy Hospital. After the turnoff to Umoja. It's a beautiful market. Costs around 860-something million, 868 million shillings. It was built over time. We completed it when we got into office. And so we're saying, look, some of the selected produce, and no one is trying to move a market, because I had very baseless propaganda that the market wants to be fully, relocated, or somebody wants to sell this market. There are no such plans. And so we are moving selected produce in terms of the wholesale aspect of it, and we will not have people selling on the road. That
Okay.
we will not have. Yeah.
Wakulima is meant to be a wholesale market.
Yes.
At what point did it become a retail market?
Over the years, it became both wholesale and retail, just because of disorder, and people cutting shortcuts. That yes, instead of wholesale, I can also buy 2 nyanyas here or bitungu, and that brings a lot of disorganization, And so we want to retain it as it should be. Let it serve the other markets in the city, but beyond a certain number of trucks, beyond a certain number of traders, they will ply their trade from Kangundo Road. We've also built another one, rather it's going on in Mutuini. And look at Mutuini is on the bypass as well now, the other bypass, must be the southern bypass. It's going to be a huge market. We're spending less on it, 245 million, because we've changed how we design our markets. So I think some of the markets built were malls, not markets. And you find traders don't want to go in there. No one is going to go to the third floor to buy onions, to go cook that evening. And so we're having more of just open space, cold storage facilities, proper parking, water, electricity. That is what we're looking at, and that's why we're spending much less per market now. We're building 20 of them. Already we've broken ground in around 4 or 5. Kahawa West, there's Juju Market ongoing. There's Ruai that is coming up. There's Mutuini. There is Karen Market. If you go to Karen, there was a huge mess the roundabout for a long time. And now it's sorted. We've moved the machatus to, there's a temporary site that we have along the road. And the traders are willing to go into the market. So sometimes you find that you've made progress. People have accepted, yes, this makes sense. We will do better business when there is order. And then politicians say, jump on this, let's incite people. And we said, look, we will not pander to the whims of political expediency at the expense of security of the people, safety, traffic, just good order. We promised a city of order, and that's what we must have.
So I think that's one of the things that every time, I think ever since we saw from the beginning of your administration, when there was an attempt to have some kind of order brought into the city, it was always met with what many would say was a political backlash. Whether it's moving traders from within the city, this whole Moy Avenue thing, whether it is getting people to move. Why?
I think it's just myopic politics. Because in many of these instances, and I've given it time, just to listen, and now, enough is enough. We're going to do what must be done. The matatus, for instance, we had agreed with them. They were very happy, actually, most of them, especially those plying Uhuru Highway going down Wayaki Way to Western, Nyanza, Kisii. And they found Green Park is actually very good. It's a good design. And then we provided shuttles from Kenya Railway, so that when you alight from there, it just does a loop inside town, goes to Kencom, comes back. The passengers were saying, this is better. Some of the places we were alighting at Tirum, Unashuka, the Kanjo think you're also a tout, you're touting, your luggage is taken, somebody pulls it. But then after making that progress, we were pulled back. And in as much as it's operating, we've been observing, yes, it is true there is a triad, of trade. where you have a terminus, you also will have some business going on, some hawking. If you go to Nyamakima, you'll find some people don't even travel. They just call the shop. They say, Nieke, my cereals into that matter to come into Nyeri, and it'll bring, there's a dynamic that you must have, but there must be order. The city has grown. When some of these facilities were built, if you look at, population of 2002 was 2 million Nairobians. Now we are 7 million during the day and 5 at night, And so we must move with those times and just have our capital. This is a global hub, We must have it representative of what Nairobi must be.
The question, though, is, are we doing this knee-jerk reactions, or are we doing this within a long-term plan?
It's within
There have been plans that, we haven't really actualized the plan in Nairobi. But for example, the new plan and all, what was the plan saying about access to produce in Nairobi, bringing produce in Nairobi? How many markets should Nairobi have? And how far apart should they be? That is wholesale markets. How do you move from wholesale into retail? How does it move all the way from retail into neighborhood markets?
Precisely.
What's the plan?
There have been many attempts towards planning of the city. Over the years, if I'm to go to the history from the 1924 Master Plan 48, the last one was 76, because the new plan really set the foundation of now specific local area plans. So it's a foundation, and because of that, many things fell off, whether it is water, whether it is trade, whether it is traffic, the loops that were missing. And so, yes, while it speaks broadly, about those aspects, now is when we're actually doing the real plan for the city, with the Nairobi Vision 2050. And, as we set up that task force, we'll have people from all, all stakeholders, architects, traders, resident associations, to come down with us for a year-long program, I've gone through all of those that were there before. There was the Nairobi Want conference. but the city has just been, hurtling along, without physical plans for, local areas. There was an attempt during the NMS time. They actually tendered, but I think they ran out of money, so they couldn't do it. Now, what we've been able to do, we've secured $60 million from the Millennium Challenge Corporation. That's a congressional fund in the US. And a lot of that is going to come towards proper physical planning, urban planning for the city. And then it's a threshold program at $60 million. That's a few big. And then it translates into what we call now a compact program of around $700 to $800 million to implement what that plan is. So Nairobi 2050 will be anchored on that MCC. But even as that goes on, life moves day by day. You can actually see that, look, we can't just wait for that annual process and we're losing money, we're losing resources. Let's act now. And so that's why we said, let's build 20 more markets. Let's even partner with the private sector. You can actually build a market of this nature in this place and collect rent from it. It doesn't all have to be the city doing it. And we're getting very, very good responses. If you look at water, for instance, Eric, the last water source for Nairobi was built in 1997, from 1994 to 1997, targeting a population of 2002, which was 2 million Nairobians. The first one was 1906 to 1910, Kikuyu Springs. That one gives us 6,000 cubic meters. The second one, 1928, again colonial, that is Ruiru Dam. The third one was 1958, Ndakaine, which gives us 60 million liters a day. And then finally, that was Sasumwa in Nyandarua, gives us 60 million liters a day. Then finally, from 1994 to 97, Ndakaine. So what happens? You have a quantity of water that comes into the city, 525.6 million liters daily, yet you require 970 thereabout. And it grows by 4%. And so when you got into office, you said, look, we can't go on this same way. There had been the Northern Collector Tunnel, which was stalled for a long time because of just way leaves, people along the line. And I'm very grateful. I looked for President William Ruto. I told him, please, we need this. You live in Nairobi. All of us live in this city. Let's get some resources. We got money through NLC. We paid. And now I'm very happy to announce that 140 million liters of water will be coming into the city daily. 140 million liters extra. within the next few days. In fact, what we're doing now is the final connection between Gigiri, our reservoir, and Kigoro, the new treatment plant that brings in that water. But even as we do that now, we must plan the next 1 million liters. Let's not wait again for the population to go up.
Because 140 is still less than half the deficit.
Yeah. So there's 140 from Northern Collector. Then Karimenu brings in another 70 million liters. 50 supposed to go to Ruiru. But fortunate for Nairobians, Ruiru is not ready to receive it. They don't have the infrastructure yet. And so a lot of that is going to come into to the city. We've also secured funding for this by Korea for Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4. Those add to 20 million liters. So within the next 2-3 years, we can actually solve that deficit. Our engineers are very creative at Nairobi Water. They found out that, look, there's a system at Ngedu treatment. We call it a backwash system in the filtration of water that we lose 30 million liters daily. And so they're engineering that, and you'll have now half of Sasumo coming into the, half of the quantity of Sasumo, 60 million, now 30 million coming in. So all of this is happening. And while it's happening, we are talking about technology, SCADA technology. How do we see where water has been infiltrated? Just down the road here, I went once. We were doing something with what we call the water police. A lady has a kiosk. Looks like a kiosk from outside. But you come inside, you go underground. It's a pumping station. She has 16 pumps providing water from our line to flats. Yeah. She's metered them. She's providing water and electricity. She's Kenya Power and Nairobi Water at one. A lot of these illegal connections. Right now, Langata is starting to get water because the line that used to go through Kibra had been infiltrated. We've had to concretize it. So now you can start getting water there. And of course, now we give the people of Kibra water properly. So all this is happening, yes, Eric. The planning is going on, but we have to keep sorting out these problems day by day. A lot of how the city was running cannot hold anymore. Look at issues of solid waste management. We can't use the same model that we've been having from before. We are setting up now Nairobi Solid Waste Management Company that is almost like Nairobi Water, a standalone company that has, because there are three aspects to it. There is human resource. You need staff. I've hired 3,500 youth in the last 2 years in what we call the Green Army. Number two is equipment. You need the trucks. When I was a kid, I remember every Monday, it used to be Tuesday and the Saturday, the Camero used to come and we were being given bins by the city, NCC. And within the water bill, there was a garbage cost. Yeah, and we knew like clockwork. But you see, that got lost because, again, biashara, contractors for garbage want to, and it's a billion shilling business. So we're moving from that to now back to a company standalone that has its money ring fenced. Because you can imagine, like now, those young people collecting the garbage every day, putting it by the road, but the trucks then have
There's no
fuel.
truck to come and collect.
Yeah.
So I hear you saying that there's a lot that had gone wrong with the city
over the years. Yeah.
So there's a need to correct that wrong.
Yes.
While at the same time maintain some kind of order.
Yes. When planned for the future.
Exactly, with the hope to develop for the future.
Yes. You must do that.
Is this something that was seen or unseen by you before?
No, it was seen as something I knew. I was a member of parliament in Nairobi. I've been the senator of the city. And especially the Senate gives you a good view of what's happening and what's not happening. And so when you get in the first few months, you must set up government. You must understand now deeper dynamics. It's always different when you look from outside. And they say you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. And so now you see and you try things and your programs start coming alive. And I'm very proud that in the last 2 years we've achieved many things. If you have time, we'll go into that. And so now is when we're moving into that now, full replanning while things are happening. Kids are eating food in school. We've built kitchens, we've built ECD centers, there's a lot that's happening, but still you plan forward. And so that's why we're saying we will not allow anyone to take us back to the problems we had, because the problems we had in Nairobi were because of political expediency. After 1992, when the ruling party lost grip of Nairobi, it was just went south.
It was downhill from there.
It was just downhill because multipartyism came. President Moi lost control of Nairobi. The councillors, the Kajoras, you remember those guys, a lot of the land we're recovering now. Because I found so many parcels of land. I issued titles on.
I wanted to take a break. We'll come back and continue. But before we take a break, now that you mentioned the Cameros, the last time you were here, you said that by, I think, October last year, would have those compactor garbage trucks on the roads.
We bought them.
Well,
but they're not enough. So we bought 24 tippers. We have another 24 refuse compactors. I'll show you photos. We're just concluding that transaction.
Are they on the road? Are they in operation?
Not yet. But we have them. We've bought them. Yeah, I should flag them off anytime.
So it's
now.
A year later.
Yeah, because they were being fabricated in Turkey. That we don't have that capacity here. But it's Isuzu that we engaged, and they finally completed it. I need to pay them around 215 million in the next, as soon as we get money. Remember, it's the first quarter of a financial year. No county has received a shilling in 3 months, and so there's also that dynamics.
You said you want to restore order to this city.
We said we wanted a city of order, dignity, hope, and opportunity. Yes. Do you
now? 2 years later,
yeah.
And in fact, when we promoted and said that you'd be coming today, and people would see the title of order in that topic, many of them are asking, what order? Do you think people had very high and realistic expectations?
No, I also have the same expectations. We must do it.
Do you think those that are still feeling we still don't have order in this city are justified?
They're justified. There's been restoration of order in many aspects. If you go to town these days in the CBD, Moi Avenue going up, you'll not find hawking. The time
Nairobi
is more regulated. Nairobi of up, but also down there because we want to create more markets for these people to be able to trade. It was not going to happen in a year, or 2 years. We've said how the disorder has been building up for a long time from 1993, but it's a journey that we can say, look, this is where we're going to in restoration of order. And part of what we're doing, like the discussion on Wakulima, is about order. And so we must decide what we want. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't say, oh, you Kanju, you're harassing hawkers, but we want order. Or we can't have our cake and eat it. And if you look at comments normally online, whatever you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We are focused on making sure before we move somebody, we have found the alternative for them to go to, because we must also be fair and we must be humane.
Yeah.
And now that's what we've been able to do. We've built these markets. We've made sure that they're operational. Now move. And when we say now move, that it's there.
Yeah.
We will not pull back.
One of the things that you will need, though, Governor, is the buy-in of critical stakeholders.
Yeah.
You've told us about the matatus and the matatu sector, and the kind of pushback that you get. We saw Wakulima market and the lighting of tires, and you had to have another meeting and another meeting. It's like stakeholders are not walking the journey with you.
No, that's not true. When politics comes in, it'll look like you've never discussed these things with these people. When is the last time you had a matatu strike in Nairobi? It's not happened in 2 years. Why? I'm on a group with them, WhatsApp, and I hope they don't remove me. I meet them every so often. We've aligned them into corridors. We meet at Charter Hall. We hear their issues. There's not been a matatu strike. You have not seen the running battles that were there with hawkers. And, they used to be chased and injured with crude weapons. I'm sure you remember all that. It's not happened. You might find one instance or another. Like I remember there was this young boy called Renova who was selling groundnuts. And the groundnuts was spilled.
Yes.
And when you see it online, when you see it in 2 seconds, you're like, oh my goodness, these guys are so cruel. But I called the boy and heard his story. Actually, they are trained that when you see an authority coming, create a scene. Whether it is your nyanyas or whatnot, spill them, because he's a Burundian boy who's been trafficked to Nairobi. And so they know when you're caught, you'll expose those running this ring.
The cartel.
The boy stays with me to date. Because the embassy wanted to send him back to Burundi for him to just come back. He's refused to. He can't go to school here because of the language barrier. If he goes there, he will still come back. So I am with him. I'm taking him now to my TVETs to be trained on mechanical engineering and all of that. But he exposed the whole thing around it. And so we must decide what
Wakulima traders, why did they light fire?
The traders didn't light fire. Those were goons. It's not the traders who lit fires over there. It is not. It's not the traders who would burnt our county stores. If you look at that thing, there are guys with rungus and pangas and all of that. Those are not the traders. The traders, and I heard somebody saying that is the one who introduced me to these people. The chairman of Wakulima market is called Tony. Tony was my youth leader in TNA in 2013. Yeah? Tony later became the youth leader of Wakulima market in 2017 when I was senator. How was I being introduced to him in 2022? The person in charge of pineapples, I know. The potatoes, they have the different produce. And we engage with them. We talk to them. In fact, they are the ones who said, number one, they don't want the traders on the road. The leadership of the market. Because when people are on the road, no one goes into the market. We agree with them. And so it's just people trying to pull us back by bringing politics.
Are you saying all traders in Wakulima, even those that were selling on the road?
The ones on the road are the hawkers, you see?
Yeah.
The traders allocated space in the market. Actually are saying, please, help us remove those people. If when this place flows, our business works better.
So they also understand that there needs to be some kind of order.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Nyamakima business people, the business community in Nyamakima, and so I think last year we had a prayer session with them, and the place we call now Kamkunji down there, they're like, please, Governor, we are paying rates, we're paying rent. How can you have somebody outside my shop also selling the same thing I'm selling? So you have to balance, and you meet the workers and tell them, okay, guys, from morning to 4 p.m., keep off. Let these guys do their business in their shops. Then you can come from 4 to whatever other time. In the meantime, while you build for your market. So it's a balance that you must, you must balance all the different players.
Right.
Somebody has a fish and chips in town, but there's smoke from the matatu going into people cannot eat there. How do you balance those interests? That's how the city looks like. Those are the things you must look at.
Yeah.
Politically, it has become another whole issue.
Yeah,
we've seen you. You're not ignoring it. You wrote a whole statement and you shared it on social media.
The statement was to clarify the issues.
Responding to the deputy president.
Yes.
Earlier, you also had written a post on social media telling the deputy president that he has your number, he can call
because
you.
He had gone on a rant on Facebook.
What is this? What's this all about?
He had gone.
Now you're saying he didn't even introduce you to the hawkers, didn't campaign for you.
I have not
he said in the interview last week that he was a guarantor.
How is he a guarantor? In fact, in 2022, I think I don't know who was introducing the other to the people of Nairobi. I mean, I'm grateful, and I said it on Saturday. I'm grateful for him helping in the campaign. I also campaigned for him and for the president in Nairobi because I was a sitting senator. But even if you campaigned for me, did you campaign for me for you to become the governor or for me to become the governor? And so that kind of politics is really backward. Saying I'm your guarantor because these are people who are from my community. If Nairobi is so cosmopolitan, we have people from all communities. There is no interest. We've just spoken about water. There is no Luo lack of water in Nairobi, or Kikuyu lack of water, or Kamba potholes, or Kisii hunger. All our problems are the same. But when you try to make it to cocoon, to put people in these small cocoons and divide them in the city, Nairobians themselves don't like it. They don't like it at all, And so that style of politics, and even if you look at my statement, I said I've restrained myself from responding because of just political hygiene. This is your senior. When he put a post on Facebook saying my younger brother, and people are saying, why don't you just call the guy? And my response was, my elder brother, you have my number. Simple. I didn't say anything further than that. And so you can tell when somebody is communicating to you through that media, the intention is really not to solve the issue.
Do you think it's birthed from a genuine desire to have the kind of order in Nairobi that you do? Or really, is it a political tool to continue to seek relevance?
It's politics. You want to look like the fighter and the protector of a community's interest. Yet that community itself wants order. When I've described for you traders in Nyamakima, the market people, they want that order. They want those spaces. If you go to Kangundo Road Market today, they're saying, please, all this is here. Come and trade from this place. So it is poor politics. And it speaks to many things, including lack of proper experience in how. And there's time for politics and time to govern. If every day we're doing things just to be popular with the people, when will we ever change our country or our city? And so, you find because of the other things that are happening in the politics, nationally, someone says, wow, this is a good opportunity to jump on this issue and solidify my position as the protector. But we're beyond that. We really can't operate that way. So our actions around the markets and Wakulima will go on as planned and as we've agreed with these people. And these are people who, when I say there's no guarantor, we were all a team. We were a team campaigning, and at that time, he was just a one-term MP in Madeira, and I was the sitting senator of the city, having been an MP as well in the city. So that posturing of, no, I'm the one, if it was not me, you will not get this, is truly false. It is actually false. In fact, if you look at Nairobi, unfortunately, our president got fewer votes than the opposition, by almost 200,000 votes. The senator position went to ODM. The women rep went to ODM. Out of 17 constituencies, we got 4 in Kenya Kwanza. Out of 85 wards, we got 35. I won also. It tells you something about the city. The city's dynamic is not like an homogeneous county in the rural area. It is not like Nyeri. It is not like Siaya. It is not like Homa Bay. It is not like Muranga. It's a city with its dynamics, with different communities, with a vibrant, youth population, with professionals who want to see certain things happening, with people who can have an intellectual discussion on issues, even at the grassroots.
Yeah.
So that dynamic, I don't agree with it.
Your relationship with even the Kenya Kwanza MPs in the city is not so rosy.
I mean, it's the same guys who are with him. That is.
So is it him or is it you and the MPs?
It is him. It is him. With them after that episode,
For example, KJ.
Yeah, KJ has now finally pulled back.
KJ has not been on the Rigathi Gachagua side.
No, he was. He was pulled back. And the same KJ. If you look at clips of him talking when we were groundbreaking kitchen in Mutuini, it's full of praise. So how do you praise a guy and then in 3 months you say nothing is working? It just tells you it's politics. And remember at that time we were doing UDA grassroots elections, and many of the MPs felt, look, if the governor is going for chairman and one of us is going for chairman, he will make us also lose in our constituencies. And so there was that fear. And I said, okay, if you guys think that I will do better than you, then just make me the chairman, for heaven's sake, because that's what politics is about. If you want to make our party get more votes than it got in the last election, why don't we change our approach and our tact? So it's mainly politics. We can talk about a lot of look today. 25% of children in Nairobi were not going to school because of hunger. Today, 310,000 children are wearing this watch. 310,000 children. We've built 17 kitchens. These 310,000 children are only paying 5 bob per day for the meal. Enrollment has gone up 34%. There used to be 240,000 kids in our school. It has gone up. Attendance is at 100%. The kids are, and more than that, they feel loved.
Yeah.
And they're happy. They're not even finishing the food. Some of them are taking the food back home. For their siblings or for their parents. We've created 2,000 plus jobs in that value chain. The chefs, the cooks, construction workers, the drivers, because it's a hub and spoke model from one central kitchen. And I wish you guys can take time and go to the one just behind you over here, or at Road C, and just see that one produces 60,000 meals a day.
That's the one Sifuna visited.
Yes,
the senator.
Yes,
and
the others produced
many questions to ask.
They were clarified. Otherwise you'd have seen a report. It was all clarified to him, and he understands how it works, because everyone would wonder, how is this thing working? But it's amazing. It's transformational.
I think that's the thing that sometimes irks me. And, quite honestly so, Governor, is that there are many things that are happening in the city that would point towards positive growth and development.
Yeah.
By your own admission, there are also a lot of things that need attention.
Yes.
But on the trajectory of whereby you say development is happening in the city, it is evident by some of the things that you've mentioned today and some of the things that we just see. However, it would just appear as though that unfortunately sometimes the ugly politics takes away from that. And when are we going to be... Look at Nairobi, how crucial it is to the development of the country as a whole. And the one who governs it yourself, then has that strategic role to play that it actually just does stand in a place whereby it's a beacon. But then now when the politics come into play, what it does is that it takes away from that light. Is it possible to run the city void? Is it possible? I mean, really honestly, to run the city void of the politics when we understand that it is upon a political platform that you got there in the first place?
It's not possible. It's the same way you cannot run the country without the politics. And the country is even more important than the city. It's our democracy. That's how our democracy is structured. You must, and that's why for you to run Nairobi, remember what a mess it was for years. Every 2 years, there'd be fights. Every year, there was even a police post in the county assembly. There are bullet holes in the wall of the Nairobi County Assembly. You remember Mafirifiri and let's remove this governor, let's remove the speaker. Nairobi has never had 2 years of quiet as it has. And so some people, don't like that piece. I remember, there are those who are benefiting from the lack of systems in the city. The revenue loopholes. We have been able to raise the highest amount in devolution, 12.8 billion. Never raised before, because we digitized every revenue stream. All of them are digitized. There are people who are benefiting from fake LPOs on River Road. We moved fully to e-procurement. So those people are not happy. And so when they're not happy, they also find convergence with now those who have a political issue. There are those people who think possibly if Sakaja succeeds in Nairobi and gets another term in Nairobi, he might be a problem in future. That is a live discussion. I mean, if I was not Sakaja, I would also think that way.
So it's cartels fighting
and so
back.
It is a
God
convergence.
forbid you might want to be president.
Imagine what if that happens? and Nairobi is a shining example of what we've been able to do. And so they find a convergence. They're buddies. They're like, we both have a common enemy.
Cartels.
But every time... I keep saying cartels is a lazy word for leaders who don't want to get things done.
You've escaped that one nicely. I was going to land you right there.
I always, I've always said that. Let me tell you. Nairobi had no public ICU before I became governor. Nairobi County had no public ICU. The only ICU was Kenyatta Hospital, which is national in Sirifaro. Today we have how many ICUs? We've done Mama Lucy Hospital, Pumwani. We have a new NICU, a neonatal ICU for preterm babies at Mbagathi Hospital. It was, that had never existed. We changed the model of running hospitals. Instead of a medical superintendent, we now have CEOs in our level 5s. The transformation of the first public eye hospital in Kenya. There's been no public eye hospital. Go to Mojatu Annex, where even your spectacles are manufactured there. There was an old man, this story I love, 91-year-old man, had not seen for 50 years, needed simple surgery. And every time he'd been asked, to do that, it was too much. Let him educate his children or whatnot. He regained his eyesight in Mojatu. He refused to leave the hospital. Said, if I leave this Kitutaisha, let me stay here. And you just see him with his son saying, Kumbe, you look like this. I thought you're more handsome. And, just joking around. We see more than 300 people there daily. We've done thousands of surgeries. And so there's been progress. And so for you to be the governor of Nairobi, you must have a mind of a CEO and the heart of a social worker, but the grits and shrewdness of a politician, all in one. You must balance an assembly. I run a minority government. The leader of majority is ODM. The person who brings my budget is the MCA for Mabatini, the budget chair. I must work with them. And so the first thing that created a problem with the deputy president was when I got in, I started broad-based. I put in CECs from ODM, from WIPA. I mixed them with UDA. Chief officers, I mixed, And at that time, I was the only person possibly who in a day would talk to President Ruto, and then talk to Kalonzo, and talk to Raila, and come back to President Ruto. And I walked with him day by day and told him, boss, you see these dynamics? During the nominations, I told you, if we do 1, 2, 3, we'll lose these seats. We did. Because in our party, every party in the coalition fielded candidates. But in Azimio, if it was Jubilee, there was no ODM. And so and he said, yes, okay, actually, it makes sense. Go talk to him. These are the first names. What do you think? No. And that is how you run the city. And so you must be able to do that, to handle the MCAs and the politics, and then also go look for $100 million from Korea to do Northern Collector 2 in Maragua 4, and then also have the capacity to make sure there's drugs in your hospitals, and then move traders from Wakulima and then come and do street lights where they've never been. Look at, we've done more than 10,000 lights. So it's that's what I'm telling you. It's a 365.
And control development.
Yes.
Right? Because that's the other thing that is there. I know there's a part of it that's in court. You took us to court.
Yeah.
Yani Sakaja, you took us to court. Anyway, there's the issue of...
anything I say here, I must be able to substantiate. Simple as that.
You took us to... not taking us. The issue of development and uncontrolled development is one that citizens or residents of Nairobi are raising.
Yeah.
They feel that there are unscrupulous developers in this city.
It is true.
Who have permits to do 5 floors, they're doing 15 floors.
There's no such case of someone with a 5-floor permit doing 15 floors.
Okay, well, it's an example. But that's a wild one. Yeah? For a long time, people just built how they wanted to build. I keep telling you the last master plan was 76 in terms of development control. And we sent that policy to the assembly, development control policy, land use policy. I know actually this week the MCAs and the planning committee are going to be in the coast, just going through that and the regularization plan. Because of that, the first thing we did was to change the Urban Planning Technical Committee. The PLUPA, Physical Land Use Planning Act, talks about a CEC of lands being the one person who makes those approvals. And we said, look, let's democratize this process. It can't be one person saying yes or saying no. And so you have an Urban Planning Technical Committee, which has representatives from the Architects Association, from the engineers. In the first iteration of that committee, there are resident associations. Kara was represented, and they sit every fortnight. And they debate. You have surveyors, you have Kenya Civil Aviation Authority that looks at those heights and says, no, this is too much. You have Nairobi Water. And so it is a democratized process. What I've also done, I've set up a team that is reviewing all approvals in the last 2 years to see if people are following what they actually asked for. And I asked the professional bodies, when an architect submits a plan for a building, and then the developer removes him from that construction, they should tell us. Because you find a submission has been done, it's good, it passes the test, and then somebody goes and does something completely different. And so there's need for that development control enforcement. Did you meet with the architects and the other professionals who sought your audience?
Not once.
And they raised this issue in a public press conference and said, we have been seeking audience with the governor. Never once met him.
You see...
Did you since meet them?
You see, it's an institution. It's not me. I've met them personally, but they sit in those committees. They sit in that Urban Planning Technical Committee. And so, yes, I've met Florence Nyole and her team. I've met the engineers, and I'm glad. I'm happy to meet them again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Governor, we will give you 2 hours next time you come.
We need time. Nairobi needs
so we need
time.
to discuss.
Possibly we should do a next space.
Yes.
You can host one.
We will do that.
So we can discuss everything. So it's good for people to understand what's happening.
Good idea.
Asante sana.
Sakaja Arthur Johnson is the governor of Nairobi City County Government. He's been our guest this hour talking about balancing between promoting business and restoring order in the city.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.